So this morning I'm going to touch on a subject I've been trying to avoid for years, but I believe it's time to cover it a little bit. Not too much, but it's concerning a Sabbath keeping, as they say, group of people, and as I've said many times, nobody today keeps Shabbat, because if they did, they'd have to turn off the electricity to their house, etc. When I say keeping Shabbat, I mean as in Jewish law. So there was a man by the name of Herbert Armstrong, and he wrote a book called The United States and Britain in Prophecy. And he deceived a lot of people with this book and swindled a lot of money from a lot of people, both he and his son. Convinced these people that the white people of Great Britain and the United States was Ephraim and Menashe. They would say Ephraim and Manasseh, but it's actually pronounced Ephraim and Menashe. So they printed all these magazines, like what was it, Plain Truth magazine and Good News magazine, to lure, and those were free, to lure people into their so-called church to start extracting money from them. And one of the scriptures, the main scripture that they used to extract money from these people, was this one. 1 Corinthians 9. Now, before I go over 1 Corinthians 9, I want to go to a passage that Cephas, not Peter, his name never was Peter, never shall be Peter, but Cephas. Let's see, the words of Paul, misunderstood. Of Paul. Hold on. I got to remember how it's worded, as they do all the other scriptures. Let's try that one. As they do all, there, right there. 2 Cephas 3:16. No, it's not Peter, it's Cephas. I have pointed this out various times. That is a name. Peter is a pagan name superimposed upon the papacy, by the papacy, on one of the disciples. Now, 16. We'll start in verse 15. And account that the long suffering of our Moshiach is salvation, even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given to him, has written to you, and also in all his letters, speaking in them of these very things that Cephas was speaking. Now, it says, on, at, by, with, which are some, or a certain one, someone, anyone, hard to understand by those who are unlearned and unstable. So, Paul's words to those who were unstable and unlearned were hard to understand, and they twist. You see that word? Striblu? strebalo, to twist, just like they do all the other scriptures, and they do so to their own destruction. So, Herbert Armstrong and his crowd did exactly this to 1 Corinthians 9. They would take 1 Corinthians 9 and use it to justify theft, coercion, extortion, and a fellow who has long since passed away told my dad. This fellow was a member of this congregation. This fellow told my dad that he heard Herbert Armstrong in a room talking to all the other preachers. When somebody asked him a question, don't know what the question was, that if they are stupid enough to give me that money, I'm going to take it. And that's when Richard, I'm not going to say his last name, promptly left that organization. All right? So, what I'm going to show you today is what Paul said. Paul he covered all the bases in arguments. He covered it all. He was extremely detailed. So, I will show you how they twisted his words and the words that they avoided like the plague in this one chapter. Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? A free man? Have I not seen, not Jesus, because it says right here, as I've often, many times, now my internet cuts in and out a lot right now because U.S. Cellular, and right now, okay, so it's not letting me go here. So it's Yehoshua HaMashiach, or Mashiach, or not. See, there we go. I'll just have to wait. Are not you my work in the Mashiach? And if I be not an apostle unto others, yet doubtlessly I am to you, the Corinthians, for the seal of my apostleship are you in the Mashiach, not the Lord. It's either Mashiach or Jehovah. It's not the Lord. My answer to them that examine me is this: have we not the power to eat and drink? Have we not the power to lead a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, just like as the brothers of the Mashiach, and also Cephas? He didn't say Peter, he said Cephas. You see it right there? Or Cephas, if you want to speak correct Hebrew. Cephas. Or I only. And Barnabas. Don't we have the power, the authority to quit working so that we can do this ministry full time? Who goes to war at any time in his own charge? Doesn't he charge taxes to somebody else? No. He didn't say that, but he implied that. He said, who goes to war for any time at his own expense? Who plants a vineyard and does not eat of the fruit? Or who feeds a flock and eats not of the milk of the flock? He is saying that according to the Torah, he has the authority to take. from the people. Let me continue. Verse 8. Say I these things as a man, or does not the Torah say it also? For it is written in the Torah of Moshe that you shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn. And that was the one that they love to use. But they used it incorrectly. Because if they would have read through the whole chapter, they would have gotten the opposite argument. Paul's argument was the opposite of what these people and all the other preachers around the world do. You shall not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn. Does Jehovah care for the oxen, or does he say it altogether for our sakes? For our sakes, no doubt. It is written that he who plows should plow in hope, and that he who threshes should thresh in hope, should be a partaker of his hope. If we have sown unto you spiritual things, is it a great thing that we should reap your carnal things? So he presents one side of the argument, okay, and then he's going to present the other side of the argument, and one side wins. But these Armstrong crowd, the man at the Vatican, all of these people who go and collect offerings and tithes, and like they claim as tithes, and tithes can never be from money. If they would bother to read the Torah, they would find out that tithe was never from money. And if others be partakers of this power over you, shouldn't we all the more? Why are they allowing others to have that authority over them anyway? I want you to listen very, very, very carefully, because if you don't, you're going to miss it. Nonetheless, we have not used this power, but instead we suffer all things, lest we should hinder the glad tidings to Zion, not the gospel. If you read a few or watch a few videos back, you'll understand what I'm saying, because gospel means God's spell, and God is a false idol of the sons of Japheth. He says, if they would have used the power to take from these people their money, their offerings, their tithes, or whatever, and instead of suffering all things, that they would be hindering the glad tidings to Zion, the message of the Moshiach, the testimony of the Moshiach. Okay? That should be enough. So he eloquently presented the argument for, and then in one short sentence the argument against, that doing so would hinder, would put water on the flame of the glad tidings to Zion. And that is the reason, folks. That is a fundamental reason why none of these organizations, 50c3 or whatever they are, churches they call themselves, teach the testimony of Yehoshua, the glad tidings to Zion. None of them. None of them. Then he says, then he continues, goes back to the original argument, says, did you not know that which they minister about the holy things live in the things of the temple? That is the temple that was still erect back in those days. And that which wait upon the altar are partakers of the altar. He's talking about the Levites and the priests. The Levites and the priests took tithes. So, even so has Jehovah, not the Lord, ordained that they which preach glad tidings to Zion should live of the glad tidings to Zion. Well, how are you going to live of the glad tidings to Zion? Watch this. Judging the 12 tribes of Israel. How will they live? And I'll show you proof in a minute. Maybe I should have went to Luke 22. But one is probably about as good as the other. Born again, right? And let's see if this... Okay, so it pulls up now. Not Jesus, not Yeshua, but Yehoshua. Or Yehoshua is how it's supposed to be pronounced. Okay? You see it. It's not Jesus. It never was Jesus. It never will be. Get over it. Said unto them, verily I say unto you, that you who have followed me, this is your reward. Not tithes and offerings from the people. This is your reward. Those you have followed me in the rebirth. Regeneration, renewal, a new birth. When Israel is born again. That's right. When the Son of Man shall sit on the throne of his glory, you shall also sit upon the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of not the church, but Israel. Now, that is the reward. So we go back here. He says, even so has Jehovah ordained that they which preach the glad tidings to Zion should live in the glad tidings to Zion. See, but you use the word gospel instead. And that's the reason why you don't understand. That is how the 12... So the 12 apostles are going to be judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Somewhere in there, Paul is also going to be living in the glad tidings to Zion. Okay? Then he says, but I have used none of these privileges, neither have I written that it should be done so unto me, for it would be better for me to die than for any man to void my work. It says boasting. But that would mean his reputation, his accumulation of capital for his reward. He says, for though I preach the glad tidings, I have nothing to glory of. For necessity is laid upon me. Woe is laid upon me, if I preach not the glad tidings. For if I do this willingly, of my own free will, is what it means, without being paid, he has a reward coming. What is my reward then? Well, I already told you what his reward then. Then he says, verily I say, when I preach the glad tidings to Zion, I make the glad tidings of Yehoshua without expense, so that I abuse not my power in the glad tidings. He leaves no wiggle room here. So what that means is that this book, it is not possible for it to be correct. It's lies. So what was the lie, Henry, you might ask? Well, the lie in this book was that somehow the United States of America is Menashe and that Great Britain is Ephraim. That's nonsense. Because in the scriptures, we can read right here, not here, but it is in Hosea, where it says, Ephraim mixes with the Gentiles, is mixed among the Gentiles. In other places it says scattered. Ephraim has mixed himself among the people, among the Gentiles, and he is a cake half-baked, so he's a half-breed. Now, strangers have devoured his strength, and he knows not. How is it that they think that the United States of America is Menashe and that UK is Ephraim? It makes no sense. Okay? So it says, Ephraim is like a silly dove without a heart. He calls to Egypt. He goes to Assyria. Well, Assyria is over the Middle East, not in the UK. Okay. So, what I want to do, and I'll point out some of his, I'm not going to go into his book and look into it. So one of his claims was that Israel, the house of Israel, the lost 10 tribes, and how can they be lost if they are pinpointed in the United States or in the UK as great nations? He said that they were going to receive that blessing that is written in, what is it, Deuteronomy 28, in spite of themselves, and that Israel is once again going to be taken into captivity if it doesn't repent, is what he says. But those of you who've been watching my YouTube videos, you know that, we'll go to Deuteronomy 28. So you have the blessings of obedience right here. Then you have the curses of disobedience if you refuse to obey. And all these things happened. So you go to chapter 29, we already know all these things happened. Okay? This is where the whole house of Israel, Yehuda and the other tribes, swore an oath to the covenant, to the old covenant. Okay? And And Moshe even tells them, it says in verse 14, neither do I do this neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here this very day before, not the Lord, but Jehovah, as you see right here. Elohim, not God. And also with him that is not here today, not even born yet. For you know how you dwell in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the Gentiles which you passed by, and you seen their abominations and their idols, woods of stone and steel, silver and gold, which were among them. If there's any man or woman among you, or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from Jehovah Elohim to go and serve these idols of these Gentiles, of these Goy, if there are any among you that is a root that bears gall and woodworm, it shall come to pass when he hears these words of this curse, he will bless himself in his heart, and he will say, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of my heart to add drunkenness to thirst. Jehovah will not spare that man, but the anger of Jehovah and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses that are written in this book shall lie upon him, and Jehovah shall blot his name from under heaven, and Jehovah shall separate unto him the evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the Torah. Now that's individually. Now, the generation to come of your children that will rise up after you, and the stranger that comes from a far land shall say, when they see these plagues of that land, and the sickness which Jehovah has laid upon it, and that which the whole land thereof is brimstone. The whole land? Oh, it was like that. History shows it was like that. Brimstone and salt and burning, it was not sown, nor bears any grass thereof. And the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, which Jehovah overthrew in his anger and his wrath. And all the Gentiles shall say, why has Jehovah done this unto this land? And what means the heat of this great anger? When men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Jehovah Elohim in the land of their fathers, which so he had already testified to them that they were going to do this. They were going to turn away from Jehovah. But the secret things belong to Jehovah Elohim, and those who are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do the words of this Torah. Now, chapter 30. And it shall come to pass, when all these things have come upon you, the blessing and the curse. So you already predicted that the blessing was going to come, and that the curse was going to come. And I have set before you and called to mind among all the Gentiles, where Jehovah Elohim has driven you. You shall return to Jehovah Elohim, and you shall obey his voice. It's not if you shall. No, you will. According to all I have commanded you this day, you and your children with all of your heart. See, Herbert Armstrong and all the Christians out there, they say, if Israel does this, if. No. See, you're not reading the scripture. You had the blessings, the promise of the blessings and the cursings, and then you had them swearing an oath to the covenant, and then you had Jehovah telling Moshe to tell them that in another generation, later on down the line, that they would turn away from the covenant. But then what happens? Just as certain as they would turn away from the covenant, they would come back. Jehovah Elohim will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and he will gather you from all the Gentiles where Jehovah has scattered you. Then it says, if you're banished into, it says in King James, but that is incorrect, it says to the horizon. It is utmost parts of the horizon right there. See that? So no, Elon Musk is not going to be taking people to Mars. All right? From there will Jehovah Elohim gather you, and from there will he fetch you. And Jehovah Elohim will bring you into the land by which in which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it. And he will be gracious unto you and multiply you above your ancestors. And Jehovah Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love Jehovah Elohim with all of your heart and with all of your soul, that you may live. Now, this is critical. And Jehovah Elohim will put all these curses upon your enemies and upon them that hate you and them which persecuted you. That brings me to, I fear that let's see here. I'm going to go right here. All right. The horrifying American roots of Nazi eugenics. This article right here by Edwin Black, written in September 2003, has convicted the United States of America and Great Britain as arch enemies of Israel. I dare you to read it. I have read it on this YouTube channel. I have dedicated entire videos to this article and other articles like it. I please read this and read it carefully if you want to know where this Nazi ideology came from. Now, where did America's ideals and the British ideals come from that caused this pogrom against the Jews to happen? Let's see, it's right. Let me give you, just so you know, some of you think that the British are not enemies of... Right.
Newspaper. It's a grainy home movie shot in 1933. Playing up for the camera, young Queen Elizabeth is seen apparently raising a Nazi salute alongside her mother and younger sister dancing around. Her uncle, the future King Edward VIII, does the same.
There you go, folks. But where does that come from? Where does a Nazi salute come from? It is the Roman salute. Is a gesture involved extending the right arm forward or upwards with the palm down and fingers together. While it is often depicted in art and literature as a gesture of allegiance associated with ancient Rome, it is associated with ancient Rome. You can sit there and debate it all you want to, but it is. It's the Roman salute. You can see it right here in Wikipedia. There it is. Okay? So, the kingdom of the UK is Roman. The article that I showed you that you must read shows that the United States and Britain are enemies of the Jews in Israel. And Deuteronomy shows that the curses, all those curses that Israel had to suffer for these over 2,000 years, are going to fall upon those enemies of Israel. Rome and all of Rome's children. Those that hated them and persecuted them. Okay? Now, you see, Isaiah 40. Even the Bible lectures know that Isaiah 40 says that Jerusalem was only supposed to be punished twice, not 3 times. There is no third time. Twice. The first one was King Nebuchadnezzar. The second one was the Roman invasion. Okay? And we read it here. Speak comfortably to Jerusalem, cry unto her that her warfare is over. It's over. There is no more. After it was demolished a second time by Rome, there is no more. That's it. It's over. And her iniquity is pardoned. For she has received of Jehovah his hand double for all her sins. Now all the persecution that the Romans did to the Jews after the second destruction of Jerusalem is going to add to the curses upon the Gentiles. Okay? Make sure I got... So this fellow, Yair Davidi, I wanted to mention also, he dresses like an Orthodox Jew. And for a long time he was saying, and I quote, I'm not saying that United States and the UK are Israel. I'm saying that there are major populations in the United States and the UK that are of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay, this is what he used to say. Now he's coming out and saying, I can't find that particular video that he had recently released. I'll probably find it right after I'm done with the video, where he comes right out and says that the United States and the UK are in fact Israel. Well, I'm telling you that that is in fact false. Now, so going to, where is this? Hosea. He has mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. So he's a half-breed now. Now, according to Jewish law, Ephraim cannot be, what that means the lost 10 tribes of the house of Israel, because Ephraim was ahead of the lost 10 tribes of the house of Israel. According to Jewish law, they could not be allowed to come back. That's according to what the Jews adhere to today, is what I'm saying. All right. And it says, when they go to Ephraim, when Ephraim goes to Egypt and Assyria is Iraq. Is in Iraq right now. I will spread my net upon them, and I will bring them down as the fowls to heaven. I will chastise them as the congregation has heard. Woe unto them, for they fled from me. Violence, havoc, and devastation, because they have transgressed against me. Even though I redeemed them. They have spoken lies against me. He's talking about the lost 10 tribes. They are mixed among the Gentiles. They don't even know who they are. Now, he goes on and on here. So and Israel did reap the whirlwind. They sure did. Hosea announces Israel's punishment, and they did receive it. Hosea did receive retribution. Hosea points out that Israel receives retribution for sin, and indeed they did. Now, so Jehovah, he goes into remembrance and hearkens back to the days when Israel was a child. I loved him, and I called my son. He's calling Israel now his son out of Egypt. And proclaimed to walk. Then they sacrificed unto Balaam, and burned incense to graven images. I taught Ephraim also to go, taking him by the arm. But they knew not that I healed them. I drew them with the cords of a man with bands of love, and was to them as they and exalted from the yoke. On their cheek I laid meat in front of them. So he released them from the yoke and put food in front. That would be the manna. Okay? He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be his king, because they refuse to return. The sword shall abide in the cities, and shall consume his branches, and devour them, because of their counsels. My people are bent on backsliding from me. Proclaim in the high mountain, but none, or unity and exaltation. Okay? Then he says, how shall I give you up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver you, O Israel? How shall I make you as Admah and Zeboim, like Sodom and Gomorrah? My heart has changed. But wait a minute. Ephraim has become a mixed breed. And if Ephraim is a male, so to speak, then that means he has been taking Roman women, which is also against Jewish law today. They would not be accepted as Israel. But you see, redemption of Israel, even though now Ephraim is a half-breed. So he's not going to, in the day of the great judgment, make them as Admah and Zeboim. My heart is changed within me. My compassion is now made hot. And unity is in my heart. So he's not going to execute the fierceness of his anger. No, neither will he return to destroy Ephraim. For I am Elohim, or El, and not a man. The Kadosh in the midst of you, to come in to the city. They, that meaning Ephraim, shall walk, shall seek, shall depart after Jehovah. When he roars like a lion, it says he will roar like a lion, and when he shall roar, the children of Ephraim will come trembling from the west, but not only the west. They will be coming from the west, but out of Egypt and out of Assyria as well. Out of Egypt and out of Assyria. and I will place them back in their houses. Even though, when in those days Ephraim has compassed me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, but Yehuda yet rules with Elohim and is faithful with the Kadosh. Okay? He's still going to bring Ephraim back to the Holy Land. Not punish him one more time, as Herbert Armstrong and his cronies like to say. See, they polluted the glad tidings to Zion. They, as Paul said, since they took money, they, what is it right here? They destroyed the glad tidings to Zion. It's somewhere in here. They hindered the glad tidings of Yehoshua, so they could not. And if I were to accept a dime from any of you, at that point, it would contribute to the hindering of the glad tidings to Zion, and like Paul, I shall never do that, ever, because I don't want any hindrance of it whatsoever. So to those of you who were followers of Herbert Armstrong or of his false preachers, you've just seen his narrative utterly destroyed by the words of Paul that they twisted. And if you don't know what glad tidings to Zion are, then all you have to do is go to Bible Hub and look up glad tidings. So you'll notice right here, and we'll go to Luke 8 verse 1 first. And we'll go to Psalm 40 verse 9. Okay? And you just learned that the name is not Jesus, but Yehoshua, if you're new to this channel. Came to pass when he went to every city and village preaching and showing the glad tidings of the kingdom of Elohim, and the 12 that were with him. Okay, the glad tidings. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go to Google. Watch this. So where does it come from? Oh, it comes from Isaiah 40. I don't know why. I had it right there in front of me. I don't know why I couldn't. So here's what we're going to do. We'll go to Isaiah 40, since we see Luke right here, the glad tidings of the kingdom. All right? Isaiah 40. Always use Strong's Concordance, folks, unless you want to be deceived. Right here. O Zion, that brings glad tidings. He that brings glad tidings, get you up into the high mountain. O Jerusalem, that brings glad tidings. Lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up and be not afraid, and say to the cities of Yehuda, behold your Elohim. And what is he going to do? What is the glad tidings? It's not the gospel, it's glad tidings. So, so he is talking about the glad tidings of the kingdom of Elohim, right? So what is going to happen with these glad tidings? What's that all about? Behold, Jehovah, or Adonai, Jehovah will come with a strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him, and behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd, and he shall gather the lambs of his arms and carry them into his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Now, who are these? What is the deal here? All the Gentiles, it says right here, before him are accounted as less than nothing. Who is this glad tidings for? It's Zion. Why, O Jacob and Israel, the Jews, and the lost of the house of Israel, my way is hidden from Jehovah, and my judgment is past, or is alienated from Elohim? Have you not known, have you not heard, that the everlasting Elohim, Jehovah, the creator of the ends of the earth, faints not, neither is weary? There is no searching of his understanding. He gives power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increases. And when they wait upon Jehovah, they shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. This is the glad tidings to Zion. This is speaking comfortably to Jerusalem, and let her know that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, and if her warfare is accomplished and her iniquity is pardoned, that means all Israel is pardoned. And that's the reason why in the regeneration and the rebirth that the 12 apostles, the 12 disciples, are going to be ruling over the 12 tribes of Israel, not the 12 tribes of the church. This is a location. This is not, spiritually speaking, that would be watering down the truth. This is a location, a voice of him that cries in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Jehovah, and make straight in the desert steps or desert plain, a highway for Jehovah. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. This is about Zion, the Holy Land, the Kadosh land, I should say. This is about bringing glad tidings to them, to the Jews. And what does the next chapter, it doesn't stop with Isaiah 40. It says, silence, you coastal regions. That's Rome. Silence, Rome. And let my people renew their strength. Let them come near. Then let them speak. Let us come together to judgment. Okay? Who raised up the righteous man from the east, and called him to his foot, and gave the Gentiles to him, and made him rule over kings. And he set them as dust with his sword, and has driven them to stubble with his bow. He chased after them, and in safety, on a path that he has not gone with his feet, to make and do, calling the generation from the beginning. Jehovah is the first and the last. The coastlands, Rome, saw it and feared. The ends of the earth were afraid and drew near and came. Okay? Verse 8, but you, Israel, you are my servant Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham my friend. You, when I have taken you from the ends of the earth and called you from the greatest of men. Who are the greatest of men? That would be the sons of Japheth. Called them away, give me back my people. Therefore said unto you, you are my servant, I have chosen you, and I have not cast you away. Fear not, for I am. Fear not to gaze on Jehovah, on Elohim. I will strengthen you, yes, I will help you, and I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. Look, all those who were angry with you shall be ashamed. Those who are incensed against you shall be ashamed. That means the United States of America, the UK, and all of Rome, and any other nation like Egypt, Russia, whatever, shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing. And those who strove with you shall perish, which means the United States and Britain are going to perish, but not because they are Israel, but because they strove with the Jews. You shall seek them, but you will not find them. Those who contended with you, those who made war against you, shall become nothing. They will cease. Jehovah Elohim will uphold your right hand and say unto you, fear not, for I will help you. Fear not, you worm Jacob, and you men of Israel, I will help you, even the half-breeds of Ephraim, says Jehovah and your Redeemer. Remember, this is the chapter where the glad tidings design. This is the glad tidings. All of this in chapter 41 is the glad tidings design as well. This is it. He says, I will set a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. And you shall thresh the mountains and beat them small, and shall make the hills as chaff. It's talking about the great mountains, the great capitals of this world. You shall fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them, and you shall rejoice in Jehovah, and shall glory in the Holy One of Israel. This is the glad tidings to Zion. This is it right here, folks. When the poor and needy shall seek water, and there is none, their tongue fails for thirst, I, Jehovah, will hear them. Elohim of Israel will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will plant the wilderness in the cedars and the acacia tree and the myrtle and the it says oil tree, probably the olive tree, and I will set in the desert the fir tree. Well, you know. Is it a cypress tree or is it a fir tree? Well, that's debatable, isn't it? And the pine tree and the box tree together, that they may see and know and consider and understand together that the hand of Jehovah has done this, and the Holy One of Israel has created. This is the glad tidings to Zion. Okay? Then he talks about the meaningless idols. See, this is the glad tidings to Zion, right here. Now, I don't care what the Herbert Armstrongs, what the new man at the Vatican, Leo, whatever his name, I don't care what these people have to say. It's the year 40 and 41 is going to happen. All Israel is going to be gathered back home. All of the other narratives are lies and pure nonsense. No matter whose mouth it comes out of.